Hi and welcome. I'm Magnus Edholm, and I'm not sitting here. I'm driving the digital enterprise for Siemens. Today, I have a very exciting show for you. We have the world's largest two-wheel manufacturer visiting, Hero MotoCorp. We're going to talk with them and about them. And with me here, I have an amazing setup of people, which we're going to go through. We have Kasaria from Hero MotoCorp. We have Ram, also Hero MotoCorp. We're going to come back to them in a minute. And we got Oscar from AWS, and we got Bob Jones. And I'm going to start the other way around now. So obviously, you guys out there want to know who are those folks. So, Bob, tell us a bit about yourself. Give us an introduction.
Well, thank you, Magnus. Bob Jones, I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for Siemens Digital Industries. That's kind of really a fancy term, which really means I'm responsible for all aspects of how we engage with a customer, from the pre-sales, the sales, but also the implementation, the support, and ultimately the customer success. What I would really tell you is there's really two key objectives to my job. Number one, make sure we're delivering the outcomes to our customers that they need to be successful in their business, like Hero Motors. And the second part, which is equally as exciting, is also to stay very close to the industries we serve so that we can help our customers, again, like Hero Motors, not just support what they need today, but anticipate what they're going to need tomorrow to not just be a leader, but in the case of Hero again, to be able to disrupt their industries as they go forward. So very exciting role and very glad to join everybody today.
Thank you very much, Bob. Oscar, perhaps same from you.
Great to be here. So I'm Oscar Tohumcu, General Manager for AWS, responsible for automotive and manufacturing. Maybe I'll just do a little bit like what Bob did. What does that mean? So I'm responsible for setting our industry strategy and executing it for automotive and manufacturing industries globally. So great to be here.
Thank you.
Lovely.
And then we do the same thing for you, Ram.
Awesome. Thank you for having us, Magnus. So my name is Ram. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Hero MotoCorp. By the way, that's Hero MotoCorp, Bob. So we are the world's largest two-wheeler manufacturer. Very proud of it. For the last 25 years, we've been number one in the world. We build and distribute and sell more than 6 million vehicles a year, and that's motorcycles and scooters. And we've got everything from a 100cc motorcycle all the way up to a 440cc beast that we manufacture and sell. And these days we've gotten into electric vehicles, which I'm sure Kausalya will tell us a little bit more about.
Yes, and that's actually what we're going to do. And we're going to kind of divide this session up into two pieces. So, Kasalaya, we're going to come to you in a couple of minutes. So we haven't forgotten about you. I mean, you are the head of the mobility, electrical vehicle mobility session. Anyway, Ram, back to you again.
Sure.
What's the connection between AWS and Siemens?
Apart from the fact that we have three very good-looking guys right now on stage,
I would say, well, as I am the fourth, so thank you for that, buddy.
seems to be heard like this. But I must say that the three companies, the three organizations have embarked on a very exciting digital transformation journey. We've taken a very core piece of the beating heart, I would call it, of Hero MotoCorp, which is the product development journey. And we've worked together to now completely transform it. And this is the product lifecycle management software that empowers our entire development journey, our R&D within our organization. And we've now migrated that to Teamcenter X, which is the latest offering from Siemens. And we're doing that on the infrastructure from AWS.
Okay.
And it's a phenomenal partnership. And there are two large objectives that we want to achieve with it. One, we want to make sure that we take our development times and cut that by 50%.
Wow.
And the second is we want to make sure that we platformize what we develop. So a part that's developed once, we want to make sure that's used in as many vehicles out there as possible, which lowers the overall cost of designing it, manufacturing it, and putting it in vehicles for us. And we want to do these two objectives, by the way, while we leverage the power of AI. And we want to make sure we do that in every platform we use going forward.
Interesting. That is cutting it 50%. That is a pretty good target, to be honest. Bob, from your perspective, I mean, 50%, what makes this work we've been doing here at MotorCorp so important in adopting Teamcenter X on AWS?
Yeah, it's a great question, Magnus. I guess what I'd summarize is what this really is it's a strong validation to the market, the global market, the global discrete manufacturing market, or you can actually call it a signal. And why do I say that? Let's be honest, cloud and SaaS is not new technology. It's not like it's been around for several years. And quite honestly, it's been adopted in other parts of industry. But when it comes to the PLM or the innovation process for our customers, especially in discrete manufacturing, there's been some reluctancy to move to the cloud and then take advantage of the capabilities of a SaaS deployment. And why is that? It's not because it's not ready. It's just, sometimes perception lags reality, right? And the reality of it is the technology is ready, but customers are waiting to see other ones kind of lean in and prove it can work. And Hero MotoCorp it's a strong validation that you can take a very large corporation that has many manufacturing facilities and move that into the cloud. And what I would really say is when I talk to customers, they don't question the benefits of the cloud or SaaS in terms of speed and collaboration, but they ask me that question, is it secure? Is it reliable? Right? And then once they get past that, they say, well, can it truly scale? And am I going to get the performance that I got with on-premise? And again, I come back to what I said earlier. This deployment at Hero MotoCorp, it's a strong validation to other discrete manufacturers around the world that our technology together with AWS offers them secure, reliable, scalable, and performant capabilities so that they can focus more of their energy on their business as opposed to IT.
Fantastic. So, and also that's perfect segue go to you, Oscar. I mean, what does companies like big players like Hero have to gain from going all in native cloud?
So what we have seen, I mean, if you look at the PLM software as a whole, it's a mission critical system for a company like Hero MotoCorp. I think it is at the heart of their operations, right? Um, I think a couple of things come from AWS. We provide the most scalable, most available, most secure infrastructure out there. But particularly, I think how Siemens have architected Teamcenter X on AWS also provides huge advantages for customers. Like one thing that Siemens has done consistently well through our partnership is they almost always select native AWS services if it's available. So what does that do? It basically creates a much better and much more efficient operating environment. It lowers costs. When there's an upgrade, it's so much easier to do an upgrade. The maintenance is so much easier because a lot of the unnecessary heavy lifting is actually sitting on the infrastructure. It's not sitting on the Siemens team. It's not sitting on the MotorCorp team. So I think that has been a big differentiator. And then the other thing we have seen is as that becomes available, I think ultimately it reduces cycle times, it reduces costs, and has a big impact on speed.
Excellent, excellent. So you kind of talked a bit about the IT environment and also that part. But Ram, what does this mean for the people actually doing the job, the engineers working with
Sure.
Teamcenter and that? How does that benefit them?
No, I'm excited to hear, by the way, the answers that I heard from both AWS and Siemens on this because I think it goes back to focus. I think you heard that from the earlier answers as well, which is we're going to focus on building motorcycles. That's where we want to put our effort in. That's where we want to put our energy in. We don't want to be procuring hardware. We don't want to be setting up networks. We don't want to be upgrading our software. And those are all things that are going to happen out of the box with the Teamcenter X platform. Our ability to fungibly, elastically expand capacities when we need it, and when we don't, we sort of pull back. That just happens automatically in the back end with a platform like this. Our company is now getting larger and more geographically diverse. We have development centers in Munich in Germany. We're opening up new development centers around the world. Now we can do that, by in the blink of an eye, we suddenly have these set up and ready to go with the same level of performance that I would see back in India. We have security challenges that tend to come up all the time. And earlier we had to take time off to go off and upgrade our infrastructure. We don't have to do that. It happens in the background. We count on our partners to be able to do that for us. All of this will essentially mean more engineering time put towards the place where our revenue comes from, which is our vehicles, our motorcycles, our scooters. That's where we're going to spend a lot more time in. So very excited to have this platform live. Very excited to be one of the first partners to do it because if anything can give us a competitive advantage, if a platform like this can give us a little bit of an edge against my competition, we want to take it.
Excellent. That's a fantastic statement of what you said there, Ram. And Bob, what advice would you have for other organizations going in the SaaS business? It's not a new thing. I mean, now we have a huge one here with Hero. How does it work for companies smaller in the business?
Yeah, excellent question. I would go back to what Ram said as well as Oscar is, if you're considering what the benefits of SaaS and cloud technology is, yes, there's global collaboration. Yes, we can wrap up and deploy in different locations at a very rapid pace and sometimes days. But what does that really mean? It goes back to what Ram said. It allows you as the customer to focus on what makes you relevant or what makes you or helps you differentiate in your business. Every time you have to hire a resource to work on IT infrastructure or spend money on IT infrastructure, that's a dollar you can't spend on innovating products or innovating your manufacturing process. So number one is, I think you said that very well. Come back to what Oscar said. I think this oftentimes gets overlooked. We're not experts in building two-wheel motors, right? Neither is AWS, but we're very good at developing, not just developing capability in software, but developing very robust capability. We're not an infrastructure provider. AWS is the best in the world. And if you think about the amount of money AWS spends on building out that infrastructure, that's way more than we could ever dream of. So really what Ram is saying is take advantage of your partners, leverage our strength, leverage AWS strength to allow yourself to focus on what makes you different. And the key part there is not just technology, but it's what you said it very well, partners.
Yep.
So partnering with Siemens, partnering with AWS, you're partnering with companies that have been around for a while. We have the financial support, we have the stability, we have the domain knowledge and intellectual property to make sure that we can support you today. We're going to be supporting you 10 years from today, 20 years from today. And that's what a partnership's really all about.
Yeah. So I think it's also very good. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to actually choosing the partners you want to work with. And that is, of course, extremely important. So Oscar, what makes it so important for AWS and Siemens to team up? And what value can we bring? Bob touched upon it. We've been around for 178 years, so perhaps even more. I don't even know. But what would your input be on that?
So I think I'll answer it in two ways. The first part is the partnership goes back a number of years now. In 2022, Siemens decided to put the accelerator software portfolio on AWS. And that was a pivotal moment, I think, in their overall company strategy, because it was part of Siemens' digital transformation, moving into the software era. So when we look at it, it's not just the PLM software. Ultimately, there are different elements of the Siemens Digital Industries Software that sits on AWS. And collectively, the impact for the industry is, I mean, obviously it could be PLM in this case, it could be simulation software in another case. What we're focusing on collectively is how can we help the customers accelerate their digital transformation journeys. So they're actually focusing on the core business, on the innovation, and not these types of things. I think that's a big part. The other thing that I would like to say is, like for us, Siemens is a customer as well as a very important partner. Like in my role, when I look across the manufacturing industry, they're the most important partner in our go-to-market model. I mean, ultimately, they're the ones who are taking AWS to market. It's probably one way to put it. Because you have the expertise talking to the manufacturer customers out there, you have the presence. Like Bob was saying, I mean, the subject matter expertise sits there, infrastructure sits on us. I think it's a perfect combination where we can deliver value to customers like we see here.
Yeah, and I mean, also what we need to remember is that we at Siemens, we are also a producer of goods. I mean, we're creating quite a lot of different products in the field of automation. So in one way, we're also drinking our own champagne.
Right.
So, and I mean, we want to make sure that everything that you guys are working with also works. And also we want to make sure that people who are involved in the design phase and the manufacturing phase are connected and making sure that everybody comes into play. And that would be my transition to invite you, Kazalaya, to the call. Why don't you give us a short introduction on who you are and what your role is in Hero MotoCorp?
Thanks, Magnus. Wonderful being here, and it's amazing hearing some of the insights that were shared by the panel. So I'm Kausalya, and I am the Chief Business Officer for our Emerging Mobility Business Unit. One of the fundamental elements of being the largest two-wheeler manufacturers is also that we need to be in the forefront of innovation. So a couple of years back, we decided to participate very meaningfully in the energy transition, and we launched a brand called Vida. And the idea is under VIDA, we are going to launch emerging mobility products which are driven by electric powertrains. So very recently, we said we are two-wheelers, but we'll also be at the forefront of innovation. And we talked about it a little bit in an auto show last year, where we also talked about products beyond two wheels and how the electric powertrain could now, in a very seamless manner, lend itself to consumers. So very privileged to be leading the business unit at Hero MotoCorp for the emerging mobility space.
I think you're going to do a great job. But also in your job, you're going to be faced with a lot of challenges, I'm sure. I mean, you're going to have efficiency targets to meet. You need to reduce time to market. You want to make sure you're flexible because we talked about the platform before. All those things are coming into play. So, I mean, you have quite a thing to move around there. In what way would an access to, in this case, Team Center X and a SaaS solution add value to the work that you're doing?
So fundamentally, I think one of the reasons that Hero MotoCorp and VIDA are so successful is we're fairly obsessed with what the customer needs. And with today's day and age, we find product life cycles are actually shortening. Consumers are asking for more and very less time. So the idea was, how do we get products out in quick time? And they should be first time right. The right quality, the right product features. So what we anticipate is now with this movement to cloud-based SaaS, we'll be able to accelerate our speed to market and give customers products which are tested, not just with physical prototypes, but virtually as well, getting our chances to get a first-time right product with the highest levels of quality and performance out there in the market. So I think that's what we are most bullish about, because at the end of the day, as an organization, the customers who's driving value for us, and the idea is to get the kind of products that they fall in love with. That's our focus. That's what we want to spend time on. And we're happy to have Siemens and AWS support us in this journey. So you do the heavy lifting at the back end and let us take care of our customers at the front end.
How do you, yeah, that's just amazing what you just said there. But how do you make sure that your products are the ones that your customers fall in love with? How do you listen to the market? That would be very interesting to find.
So, I mean, it's a fairly evolved and quite established practice to be doing a lot of research. But one of the things that we've realized is that electric offers us, and today the world offers us, connected products. So one is what the customer says and talks about when we meet them in these very structured research. But we love the fact that our vehicles talk back to us right now. So with connected, we have access to a lot of data that's being in the real-time usage space. How do we take inputs from design teams, engineering teams, and customers and usage, bring that back into our product lifecycle design and engineering to actually give customers the products that they want to use in a specific way? So from electric point of view, we're very privileged because we were born connected. And every product of ours is transmitting tons of data back to us and telling us how we could actually increase value to customers.
Amazing. So collecting data, analyzing it, and using it for a continuous optimization. I think that is a great thing to do. I also happen to know that you guys are trying to expand globally. In what way would also SaaS be playing a role in that?
Yeah, so I think fundamentally every product today has to be thinking global. So while we are an Indian manufacturer, we now have global ambitions. We are now present in 52 countries. So that's a very important part of who our future is. When we look at what we need to do, we have teams distributed across the globe. Ram talked a little bit about it in the panel. He mentioned that we have a design and R&D center at Munich, and we're expanding. We have suppliers across the world. So the idea is, how do we create a unified digital thread that allows people to collaborate, suppliers to collaborate, partners, design teams to collaborate? So I think that's the fundamental element, but also then giving them the tools and resources to do rapid prototyping. We're also, as an organization, quite driven by the idea of being sustainable. So one of the elements is we create a lot of physical prototypes before actual launch in the market because we need to test and validate. By creating this kind of infrastructure at the back end, it also kind of is in line with a very interesting goal of being carbon neutral. So we're able to kind of create digital twins and digital prototypes and testing and validation teams, which allows us to minimize the number of times that we actually need to do physical testing. It doesn't eliminate it, but it supplements it and really, really complements our kind of goal on that front. So we're going to have the best of products created in the fastest possible time, first time right, and be carbon neutral. I think it's like a win-win situation at all levels.
Bob, that sounds good, doesn't it?
That sounds great.
I mean, what can we add to that? I'm not even sure. I mean,
Actually, that's the best commercial we could have. But I just want to comment on two things.
please do, please do.
What you just heard is a great example when we talk about closed loop manufacturing, because you just talked about the fact going from design, having a digital twin of the design of manufacturing, but also having information about the performance of the vehicle while it's being used by your end customer and feeding that back. That's closed loop. That's a perfect example. And then carbon neutral. A lot of people talk about sustainability. And I remember years ago, I used to argue, sustainability is never going to get legs and really move forward until people start looking at the business impact. What you just talked about is the business impact of carbon neutral, which is how sustainability, I think, is going to thrive, because sustainability is about doing more with less. You're not only doing more, you're having much better insights because you have a digital twin across that entire innovation process. So it's a great endorsement. So thank you.
Yeah. Oscar, any thoughts on that too from your side?
I mean, I think hearing the globally distributed model, how you guys are scaling across the globe, I mean, this is exactly the way to go, like building the infrastructure on something that's globally available, scalable, secure, digital twins. I think cloud-based development is something, I don't know if you guys are looking into it. You should definitely look into it. A lot of opportunities, but I'm super impressed about the trajectory that you have shown.
Absolutely. And Ram, also COO, this is going to make you proud, right?
Of course. No, I think that we are clearly in the stepping into a solution which is pointing us in the right direction. And for me, I think I mentioned this in my answer earlier. One of the key differentiating factors of this solution with the infrastructure from AWS is AI. I know everybody talks about it. We started to see benefits come back to us with things like generative design, with topics like, are we able to find the same part which has already been designed, is sitting in my library somewhere? I'm able to grab that and bring that back to my designer and showcase it to them. Or am I able to now look across systems, not just as one silo, one particular model group that earlier had visibility only into what they were working on? I'm getting visibility now to everything that existed for the 40 years that we've been in existence. All of that is extremely powerful, and AI is helping us make that happen. So we're very happy to have that enabler now part of our solution.
How did you start with the AI, the industrial AI approach? What would you say also for people out there listening? How do you get in there? Because it's a big thing, right?
So as they say, there's a saying, right? I mean, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So we started off pretty much in a similar fashion, where we said there's one use case. We said we're going to make this particular use case for fasteners. We said we're going to go in and make sure that I can find a fastener when I need it. And then we started from there and started building out on it. But when we did that, the only, I would say, change we made was we said we're not just going to do that one use case. We're going to train people to do it. We're going to give them the tools to do it so that it becomes more of a movement than just a single use case that we're implementing. And now it's got life of its own. And with this platform, I do believe that the scale at which and the pace at which we're going to be able to do this is going to be fundamentally different. So very excited about that.
Excellent. Thanks, man. Casalia, anything on that also with AI? Probably also touches upon what you are doing, I guess.
Yeah, I think the canvas is just opening. When you read about what impact AI can have in lives and the kind of intrigue that we have internally in terms of how we could add value to consumers and customers using our product, we do believe that we want to make safe, dependable products. We want to help riders have an amazing experience on the product. So for us, we're kind of also looking at, while AI can help us bring the best products in, it's also going to synthesize and get data in to make rider experience better. So I think for us, the gamut is very open in terms of AI. But I think what we're most excited about is the fact that we know consumers want more in less time, and we have to get them right first time. So I think the fact that we can use AI to also help us as a co-pilot in many ways is also very exciting in this journey of emerging mobility for us.
Okay, so they're having the pilots guiding the engineers on their way. I mean, that's just the way you should be working, right, Bob?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, if I can,
Please.
a lot of people talk about AI, right? We all, I mean, this whole show is AI. But, when it comes down to what you said, eating an elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah.
There's three things you need for AI. You need data, right? You just mentioned you had decades of data.
Yeah.
You need domain knowledge,
Yeah.
and this is where partnerships comes in, because
Yeah.
domain knowledge in two-wheelers, domain knowledge infrastructure, domain knowledge in the innovation space. And lastly, you need to leverage the cloud. So this is, again, I come back to the partnership. Hero MotoCorp is in a perfect situation to really be able to not just take advantage, but accelerate the adoption of AI much faster than their competitors can because of this.
Excellent, excellent. Oscar, any thoughts on that also?
I mean, maybe just to pick on what Ram said, I think the way you guys approach in terms of applying use cases is exactly the best practice we see across the several industries and different customers. You pick a use case, focus on business value. To scale that, then you need change management around it. It's all about organization and people, not much about technology. When you get the early believers, they actually start to do the work for you, and it becomes a movement, just like you said. So that's exactly the recipe we talk about and provide to our other customers as well.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. We are kind of running out of time. There's no panic just yet. So why don't we just do around the coastline, like some final words from you, Bob, or call to action or any insights that we might have missed? I don't think we missed out on anything. This session was extremely valuable. I learned so much about AWS. But what would you say is a thing to...
Well, I would reinforce, I think what you heard from all of us at one point, and that is taking advantage of the deployment in the cloud.
Yeah.
Allows anybody, whether you're 2 men in a garage or a very large corporation like Hero MotoCorp operating in 52 countries, it allows you to put your resources, your value, your limited resources and your finances to focus on what makes you unique, what differentiates you in the business, while you take advantage of partners like AWS or Siemens to deliver the infrastructure and the capabilities you need. I think that's the number one takeaway I would get from this session. And you're a perfect example of what that means to a company the size of Hero MotoCorp. So thank you.
Yeah, and talking about size, Oscar, is this also the cloud solutions? Are they only for the big ones?
No, not at all. I mean, it's that's the beauty of cloud solutions, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could just like we were talking about, if you want to scale all the way up or scale down, I think the elasticity of the cloud solutions makes a huge difference. And I'll just double down on what Bob was saying. I think the focus we have seen from you guys is exactly what we preach to all our customers. Like, focus on what you do best and focus on the partnerships that help you on this journey.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Oscar. Ram?
See, I think I would say that I would focus on the future. Our journey is just beginning, right? While we feel we're a step ahead, maybe with the partnership we've already got, we want to not just be a step ahead. We want to be miles ahead of the competition. So there's a lot we could do together that'll allow us to, offer things to our consumers which they've never seen before. So we're excited about the future possibilities of this partnership.
Excellent. And Kausalya?
So I'm overall excited about the future of Hero MotoCorp and what VIDA will bring in. I'm so glad we have partners who could enable that journey, because we are kind of obsessed with our consumer and what we could give them. And we would be grateful for all partnerships that enables us to do better at the marketplace. So excited, like Ram said, for the future and what this partnership has in hold.
It's fantastic. And the enthusiasm and your openness to new technologies is just mind-blowing. It has been a true pleasure having the four of you here talking with me at this event. And for those of you out there looking at the camera, and that's probably the right one. So this was Hero MotoCorp. This is the world's largest two-wheel manufacturer, and they have gone all in on SaaS solutions. And if you want to find out more, please visit us on Siemens.com. And also, once again, thank you very much to all of you.